Welcome back. We're here for the second video today. We're going to look at how Bitcoin closed. We're going to look at how MicroStrategy closed. We're going to look at the miners I wasn't able to get to this morning. But before we get going, smash that like button, subscribe if you've been with us a while and haven't done so yet. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description as well as the channel bio. So how are we doing on Bitcoin here? I guess it hasn't actually closed yet, but for the day, Bitcoin is actually holding above that 200-day moving average quite nicely. It's also holding above that $65,000 level quite nicely as well. We've got about 3.5 hours before this candle closes, and if it closes up where it currently is right now and opens up another one above in that area, above that $65,000 area, we're looking at this double bottom but potentially being confirmed. And I'll draw that out one more time for you, just in case you weren't with us this morning. We came down, made a bottom, went up, made another bottom, and we came up, and the neckline for that double bottom is right there. Wow, that was a really straight line I just drew. That was great. Right there, and we are currently above that. We close the candle above that and open a new one above it without touching it. Then that is the first step of confirmation. The next step is that candle must also close above that $65,000 level. Hopefully we get about 2 of those, and then it starts to take off. Now, if I were to front run that, I would buy it as soon as that next candle opened up there, and I'd put a stop loss, just below the 5-day moving average. In this case, since it's so close to the 200-day moving average, I would put a stop loss just below this cluster of candles right there, which would be about like $62,500 is where I would put a stop loss if I were doing a trade and not holding it for the long run. And of course, nothing I say here is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. These are just my thoughts on the charts as I look at them. All right, let's take a look at MicroStrategy. How did that close today? This thing is nuts. So you see MicroStrategy actually already got its double bottom. Came in bottom, went up, came in bottom, and then we got a little bit of a pause at that neckline and then just took off from there. That is nuts. I've been in this thing all the way up. Right now I am completely closed out on all of my puts for Nvidia and MicroStrategy. Look for that income machine video coming up here soon in the next couple of days, maybe like by Monday or Tuesday that will be out, but I'm currently out all realized gains. All my realized gains were pretty nice, not quite as nice as all of the unrealized ones put together, but still pretty good for 6 weeks of work. MicroStrategy is looking really strong right now. I am looking for it to come back to the 5-day moving average, which is currently down at 161.55. It got real far away from that right now. Now we know they can stay away from that, but I am expecting it at some point in the next couple of days to at least tap the 5-day moving average as it continues on up. It might do that at 161.55. It might do that at 165, maybe even 170 if it takes long enough. But I do suspect at some point it's going to hit the 5, and that's when I'm looking at my opportunity to go back in. And this time when I go in, I think I might go in the money with my sold put. We'll see how I feel at the time. It's going to really depend on how things are looking. Anyways, that is MicroStrategy. It is taking off. It is looking amazing here. We are just shy of trying to make a run for that $200 mark one more time again here for MicroStrategy. I do suspect we might get some sort of formation similar to something like what you see here and here, where we ran up and then we come back to the 5 and then we run up again. Now the question is, this time, are we going to take this number out here? Are we going to take this out and continue on higher? Or are we going to make a double top again and come back and test the 21, maybe even the 200-day moving average around this area, around 126? Are we going to carry on to 200 or revisit 130-ish area on MicroStrategy from where we currently are? I don't know. The one thing I do feel like I probably know is that we are likely to touch the 5-day moving average before it makes any of those decisions. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for it to potentially come down and touch that 5-day moving average, or take a little pit stop, do a pullback through time, basically go stagnant until that that EMA can catch up to it, and then see what it will do from there. So right now I'm just kind of waiting. All right, let's go to the Bitcoin miners that we didn't get to earlier this morning. We're going to start with CORZ. CORZ has been one of the strongest performers for a while. Let me get the ATR bands on here. I at least want, I want all the ATR bands. Let's get those all on here. I turned them off earlier because I was day trading. All right. Okay, we got the ATR bands on. So we are currently in the upper half of the ATR bands. That is great. The mid band is down at 1174. So we could come down, bounce into that. So what I'm looking at right now, this looks like a bull flag right here on CORZ. That is that is a bull flag. That's what I'm seeing on CORZ. As long as it holds above 1174, it remains a bull flag. Honestly, it could even wick down to like 1136 and still be a bull flag. That is what I'm looking at right there for that. I'm looking at something. Let me see. Is there one recent? I guess this right here was a bull flag, but that's a much bigger one. This one's that tighter one, like what we saw on Bitcoin the other day. So this looks like a bull flag. I am looking for price to either come up above 1288 and go even higher, or come down and test 1174 before doing that, possibly even wicking down to 1136 before doing that. And if we lose that level, we're going to come down to about 1087, between 1087 and like $10. Between basically 11 and $10, we're gonna kind of come back into that zone there. But I don't necessarily think that's going to happen unless we do it in the first 2 weeks of October. If we do it in the first 2 weeks of October, sure. Anything past the first 2 weeks of October, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to have time before Bitcoin starts sending it higher. So I like this on CORZ right now. It's one of the best performers all year. It's been just an absolute rocket since since May. It's been just taking off and almost barely stopping at all on its way up. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it touch the 21 EMA here before going higher, but this does look like a bull flag right now. Okay, let's go take a look at WULF. Let's get the good ones out of the way first. WULF was down 2.56% today after everything was said and done. Very few miners actually ended the day positive today, because halfway through the day we started seeing all of that money that was going into small caps start rolling over back into the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, namely the big tech stocks. You saw kind of a decent rally on those near the end of the day after a huge sell-off on those right away at the opening bell. Okay, anyways, WULF, bull flag, right there, bull flag, same bull flag as CORZ. This one's even better. This one's even better because so we had a bottom, right? Double bottom, double bottom. Ooh, and another little double bottom inside of that double bottom. Ooh, you gotta love that confluence. And then we came back from above to test the neckline of that double bottom. We came back from above to test that neckline of that double bottom. And guess what? We got a wick. We got a wick giving us a bounce off of the mid ATR band there for it. That is basically as good as gold right there. That's what I want to see. That is the kind of move I'm looking for. So as long as it stays above 478, I am looking for this thing to come and make a higher high in this current high cycle, right? I want to see it come up, maybe even $6. This thing has room up to $6 if it can get back up above 539. So watch 539, watch it close. Now, if you come down here, this is my momentum indicator. This orange line right here, that is the one I'm looking at. It is curling up, meaning that the overall momentum is up. Now we've got these other lines on here as well. Let me make this a little bit smaller. We got these other lines on here as well. Those are starting to curl down, but that is the bull flag. That's the bull flag forming. I suspect this blue line here will come all the way to the bottom. This yellow line might come down and hit that orange line. And then when those start to curl around again, that bull flag will initiate and start taking off higher. So that's what I'm looking at. This is a stochastic oscillator, by the way. I've got 4 of them layered on top of each other. If you want to know more about that, just let me know in the comments and I can make a video about that particular indicator. But right now I'm looking at that orange line. It is curling up, and that is showing me that this is likely a bull flag on WULF. So that's really great. I like that. I like what I'm seeing here. This is a very nice technical double bottom setup. WULF is looking good. All right, let's look at RIOT. Let's look at something that's been a bit of a stinker for a while. Let's see, RIOT actually doing some nice little breakouts here. We got a fully detached candle from the mid ATR band today. Look at that, fully detached. 767. So we are confirming above the mid ATR band, which is at 767 right now. We're currently at 784. We opened and closed above that level. That's great. It's not great that the candle is red, but it is great that that happened. So that is giving us room to potentially come back, test it maybe one more time, and move potentially up to around 866, maybe even $9 on RIOT. So RIOT is looking good. It looks like it's finally trying to break out of that downtrend. Now, the only thing that scares me a little bit about this is that this channel down here looks eerily similar to this channel right here. So we need to get up and above 856 before I'm celebrating anything on RIOT, because this could be a bear flag. It could be a large one, but it could be a bear flag. So we actually need to get above this chart. We need to get above the red ATR band, or we aren't going anywhere. So I'm going to make that one yellow. We need to get above that. Until we're above that, nothing, I wouldn't say anything super positive about RIOT in terms of like where it's going to go. Once we're above that, we have room to the mid of this descending channel, which is this blue dotted line up here, which is around $10, which is where we run into our next, our next area of resistance and difficulty for Riot. So it's going to be a long hard journey for Riot. It's got to get all the way back up to his 200-day moving average, which is currently at 1171. I would be thinking maybe around Christmas time we could see this thing trading around 1171, but I don't know if it will go much higher unless it really, really takes off. Riot's been just absolutely battered lately, and we'll see if institutions come back and retail comes back to pump this thing back up. I would suspect this to end up being like an inverted head and shoulders, right? So we came down like this, right, like this, and then we do one more leg down, creating the other shoulder, and then potentially moving up to the 200-day moving average from there. That's the kind of move I'm looking for Riot at this time. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's what I am looking for. I'm looking for this to end up becoming an inverted head and shoulders, which then takes us up to around that $11 level on Riot. Okay, let's move on to CIFR. CIFR's been exciting, and it is still looking pretty good. So CIFR is holding up in this area. So it's just holding itself above the mid ATR band. It's currently above the 200-day moving average. It is still touching it, so it's not like a break. It's not a clean break. The 200-day moving average is at $4.08. We are currently trading above that. If we could open above that on Monday, that would be fantastic. We are just hugging the top ATR band right now, not really able to break through it, but also not really detaching from it. This is all pretty good signs right now. I would like to see us go sideways for a little bit, do a bit of a pullback through time, and see the 5 EMA come and catch us around $4, preferably above the 200-day moving average, which is at 408. Preferably it catches us above that, and then the 21-day slowly find itself also above that 200-day moving average. And then I'm looking at CIFR to really do some really exciting things, because like we said before, once it's above its current level, like once it's above this 200-day moving average, there's a big open space up here. I mean, there is some resistance back here for it to get through. This is true. It is true, but it's working off a lot of momentum. A lot of liquidity was built coming all the way down from, where did it come from? Down from all the way down from $8 to 261. There's a lot of liquidity built in there. So there's a lot of power in this up move. So once we start confirming above that 200-day moving average, I would not be surprised if we went through all of this resistance quickly and found ourselves up in the red ATR cloud somewhere between 569 and 668 again on CIFR. So I am watching that pretty closely. I'm not buying it. I'm overweight on miners at the moment. I've got MicroStrategy running as well, which is taking like a significant portion of my portfolio. So I can't really get into CIFR as well, but I am watching it. It is finally getting exciting. I am finally feeling bullish on it once again. So we're watching this. I would like to see it. I would like to just see it stay between the top and mid ATR bands, honestly, to stay in a bullish trend. We could find this thing also doing a bit of an inverted head and shoulders, right? So like shoulder, come down, head, another shoulder, maybe down to the mid ATR band, and then crawling back up from there as well. But also clock this double bottom down here. This bottom came up, bottom, and then we got that one candle that just sent us higher. We closed, we opened, we did a gap up and go after that candle, and it was just beautiful. Beautiful execution of that on CIFR, and hopefully it can hold where it is, get the EMAs to catch up, and then launch again from there. Let's take a look real quick at the warrants. I didn't need to do this. It was on my list. I could have clicked it. The warrants are they're currently down a little bit, so they did come down to the mid ATR band. So the warrants sometimes front run. Sometimes they lag, sometimes they front run the stock. This is what I'm really expecting this to look like on the main stock later on, like come up, see a wick down to the mid ATR band, and then like maybe we launch from there. But the warrants, if I were to play CIFR, I'd probably do the warrants. I'd probably put, yeah, like an order in at like 110, maybe 109, 108, something like that, for however many shares I wanted, and then do a good till canceled limit order for something like 224, because I wouldn't be surprised if it came up to hit that again, and then I'd get like $1.15 in terms of each per share in terms of gains off that, which would be more than 100% of gains, and that'd be pretty sweet on the warrants. So I'm looking for warrants to do on that if I were to play this at all. Again, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Just my thoughts as I look at these charts. All right, let's take a look at HUT real quick. I haven't looked at HUT yet. HUT is, yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great. So it's I know it's not bad, it's not great. Let's see, HUT. I would be looking at this to give me at least a flag or a pullback to the mid ATR band around $12, and then see it launch from there. It is also trying to do something of an ugly head and shoulders, like inverted head and shoulders. Like we got our shoulder there, got our head. V-shaped recovery. I mean, is this a tiny little shoulder, or are we due to come right back down to maybe 1080 to 1050 and then break through this level here and find ourselves back up at $16, $17 around Christmas. I'm not certain. HUT is a little harder to read here on this. We got a doji candle today. It is fully lifted off the 5-day moving average. I would expect it to at least come back and touch that. But what I do know is we are above a lot of the resistance, right? We're above a lot of the resistance. I wouldn't be super surprised to see it come back down and test like this lower levels, lower aspects of this resistance around $12, and then bounce from there. And once we start closing candles above 1345, I'd be looking for 15 bucks. Above 15, I'd be looking for 18 on HUT. So that's great. That's HUT. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. It's a little indecisive, and I'm not exactly sure because it's just been tearing up without a lot of pauses. So at some point, I would expect that to come to some kind of a close and stop doing that, and then like either not necessarily roll over, but at least go sideways for a little while. And we'll see. We'll see what it does there. Let's take a look at HIVE. I'm gonna do this real quick for HIVE. Still looks bad. No, 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 I won't be that rude. HIVE, it's coming up on its 200-day moving average and got rejected. That's bad. That means that we have to be held by the mid ATR band at 326 or the 21 at 314. It has to hold those, and they have to bounce it back up and above the 200-day moving average, or we are in trouble on HIVE. It is trying to do a double bottom, like many of its peers. It is trying to do a double bottom. I'll draw it out right there. We got a bottom, came up to the 200, made another bottom, came back up to the 200. The difference is we got rejected at the 200 on HIVE. That is no bueno. That's not good. We don't want to see that. We want to see this thing go up above the 200-day moving average, start closing candles above it, and then move higher. Right now, and even once we get above that, we have this descending trend line to contend with that is been getting more and more aggressive over time. And so right now, the highest move I see on HIVE, unless something exceptional happens to it, the highest move I see in the short term on HIVE is $4, which is really just 70 something cents, or not even 65 cents up from its current positioning. I think there's a lot better potential return on many other miners compared to this one. So I would honestly still be not looking at this one to be doing much. So Luna, I don't normally cover this one. I did buy 110 shares of this thing. This is a lotto ticket. I put in money that I am absolutely expecting to and willing to lose 100% of. This one is not investment quality. This one is not even trade quality. This is lotto ticket quality right here for Soluna. Okay, not an investment, not even a trade. It is a lotto ticket. Everything I put in this, I expect to fully lose. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that, or I did that, because of this back here. Look at what it did back here. Back in 2021, it went as high as $477. And guess what? They've barely diluted since then. So this $17 million company, if it were to get pumped with, I don't know, 10, 15, I mean, it could be pumped with over 100 times the value of the company pretty easily. It wouldn't even be a drop in the bucket for most institutions to do that. And we could see this thing return to $300. Okay, do I think it will return to $300? Not necessarily. I would be very, very happy to sell this thing even at 30, 40, 100 bucks, anywhere in there. I'd be absolutely happy to sell this thing and feel like I am the greatest winner ever. Okay, so that's all for that. Okay, so what's going on with Soluna? What do we want to see out of this thing? So we are seeing, again, something of a double bottom. It's very, very ugly, but it's there. Bottom, bottom. Whoop, we came up. We're testing the neckline again right now from above. Now, the issue with this one, though, is that the mid ATR band is holding us down at 359. So we're stuck between the mid ATR band and the 21-day moving average between 339 and 338, basically a 1 penny pinch we're getting stuck in right now. And even when we break out of that, we have 392, which is the 200-day moving average to contend with. So this thing may or may not pop off. This is why I said yesterday when we had that 19% pop, that's why I said I don't think you're too late if you were looking at this as a lottery ticket. Because I do see it getting pinched here. I do see it maybe even coming back down to 312, and then seeing it maybe even launch and find itself get some trouble around $4 or $5. Like, this thing's going to struggle until some hedge fund says, I could make that 3 into a 100 with like a percent of the company's assets. You know what I mean? With a percent of the fund's assets, I could turn that 3 into and add a couple zeros behind it. You know, that's when this thing's gonna have a really good heyday. And that's all I'm waiting for on this thing. Lottery ticket. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.